What would you do if the person you trusted most shattered everything you believed in? 2 years of love, laughter, and promises, all undone in a single moment. This isn't just a story of betrayal. It's about what happens when your heart and your self-worth collide. From uncovering painful truths to facing impossible decisions, this journey will take you through heartbreak, self-discovery, and the fight to move forward. It was supposed to be another ordinary day, one of those you forget by the next week. But when you stumble upon a message, just a notification on your screen at first, it feels like stepping into quicksand. My girlfriend and I had been together for 2 years. 2 years of laughter, shared dreams, and 1,000 little promises. You think you know someone, right? I mean, we were solid, or so I thought. Then came the message. It wasn't addressed to me, though. It was a casual, "Hey, you still up?" sent to my childhood best friend. My stomach dropped. It wasn't the words. It was the timing, the frequency, and the hidden tone beneath the simplicity. I didn't want to jump to conclusions, but the seed of doubt had been planted. Curiosity got the better of me. I pieced together bits of information, screenshots, texts, and sudden disappearances that had started to make sense. It wasn't long before the realization hit like a tidal wave. The person I trusted most in the world had betrayed me with someone who knew every embarrassing story from my past. Someone I once called a brother. How do you even begin to process something like that? I tried to stay calm, to think logically, but my emotions had other plans. My mind replayed every memory of us together. Our trips, our lazy Sundays, even the way she laughed at my dumb jokes. All of it now felt like a cruel joke. And yet, I couldn't shake the feeling that this story was far from over. When I confronted her, I expected denial, maybe even a defensive wall of excuses. Instead, she leaned into a calmness that felt almost rehearsed. Her words, sharp yet coated in a veneer of empowerment, hit me harder than any outright admission could. "I can choose who has access to my body," she said, as if that somehow negated the hurt she'd caused. I stood there stunned. It wasn't just her words. It was the delivery, the way she said it with an air of righteousness. Was I supposed to applaud her for this newfound philosophy? My chest tightened as her justification twisted the knife deeper. She didn't deny it, didn't plead, didn't apologize. She just rationalized. That moment shattered something inside me. I wasn't just grappling with the betrayal itself, but with her sheer lack of remorse. Did she even think about the trust we'd built? The sacrifices made, or the future we'd imagined together? Or was it all a fleeting convenience for her? I couldn't decide what hurt more, the act or the justification. It felt like she'd torn through the fabric of our relationship and then handed me the scraps, expecting me to sew them back together. Still, a small, irrational part of me clung to hope. What came next left me even more conflicted. Days later, just as I started to process the mess, her message popped up. "I miss you." It began as if those 3 words could erase everything. She went on, claiming that what happened wasn't as big of a deal as I was making it out to be. "We can move past this," she wrote, her tone almost dismissive of the damage done. I stared at my phone, trying to decipher what I was supposed to feel. Was she oblivious, or just that confident in her ability to smooth things over? Part of me wanted to believe her, to cling to the version of us that once felt unshakable. But another part, the one reeling from her betrayal, was screaming at me not to fall for it. Her words lingered, though. They scratched at the corners of my mind, tempting me with memories of better days. She reminded me of the good times we had, the plans we made, the way we fit into each other's lives so seamlessly. It was a trap, and I knew it. But when your heart is involved, logic becomes a distant whisper. I wanted to reply, to say something that would make her understand the weight of what she'd done. Instead, I sat in silence, battling the war inside me. Could I really ignore what happened? Could love ever outweigh betrayal? That question haunted me, pushing me toward a truth I wasn't ready to face. I wish I could say her message brought clarity, but it only deepened the confusion. How can you love someone and resent them at the same time? It's a cruel paradox. one that twists every memory into something bittersweet. I still loved her. There's no denying that. But every time I thought about her, the betrayal overshadowed everything else. I found myself replaying old moments in my head. The late-night talks, the way she'd laugh at the smallest things, the way she once looked at me like I was her whole world. But now, every memory felt tainted, like a beautiful song with a wrong note you can't unhear. How do you rebuild something so broken? The idea of moving on without her felt unbearable. She'd been my anchor, my constant. But staying with her meant pretending that trust wasn't shattered, that the wound wasn't still bleeding. How do you love someone who has made you question your worth? How do you stay when every instinct tells you to leave? I wanted to ask her if she felt the same, if she understood what she'd done to me. But every time I picked up the phone, I stopped myself. Maybe I wasn't ready to hear her answers. Maybe I was too afraid of what they'd mean for us. Either way, I knew the decision I faced was one I couldn't avoid forever. Fidelity. Such a simple word, yet it carried the weight of everything I believed in. I wasn't naive. I knew relationships were messy and imperfect, but we had an understanding, or so I thought. We never discussed an open relationship or any kind of blurred boundaries. For me, being together meant being committed fully and unquestionably. Her betrayal didn't just hurt. It rewrote the rules of a game I thought we were both playing by. It wasn't just about what she did. It was about the unspoken agreement she broke. I couldn't wrap my head around it. How could she act like fidelity was negotiable, like it was some trivial clause she could bend to fit her whims? I wanted to ask her, when did our promises become optional? Was I blind to something all along? The question circled in my mind like a storm I couldn't escape. Every moment of clarity was followed by a wave of doubt. Maybe I was overthinking it. Maybe love could forgive this. Or maybe I was fooling myself. But deep down, I knew the answer. Fidelity wasn't just a preference. It was the foundation of everything I wanted in a relationship. Without it, what were we? Just two people passing time, pretending it meant more than it did? That thought terrified me more than I wanted to admit. It's strange how betrayal doesn't just hurt. It rearranges you. I thought I knew myself, thought I had this solid sense of who I was and what I deserved. But now, every glance in the mirror feels like staring at a stranger. How could I let this happen? Was it me? Did I miss the signs? Or worse, did I ignore them? My confidence, once steady, feels like it's been chipped away piece by piece. Her actions weren't just a betrayal of us. They felt like a rejection of me. I couldn't stop thinking about what he had that I didn't. It's a dark spiral, comparing yourself to someone else, especially someone who was once so close. The worst part? I don't even know what to trust anymore. Every interaction, every kind word, every laugh, it all feels suspicious now, like I'm searching for hidden meanings in the cracks. I hate feeling this way, but I can't turn it off. How do you rebuild trust in others when the person you trusted most let you down? I'll try to distract myself, to focus on anything other than this mess, but it's no use. It's always there, lingering in the background like a song stuck on repeat. And yet, I can't help but wonder, is this where the story ends? Or is there something left to salvage? She didn't stop at one explanation. Oh no, she doubled down, spinning her actions into something almost philosophical. It's about freedom, she said, like her betrayal was some kind of bold statement of independence. You can't control what I do with my body, she added, as though that made it less painful. I couldn't believe it. Freedom? Independence? Those words felt hollow coming from someone who had willingly shattered my trust. It wasn't about control. It was about respect, something I thought we both valued. Her justification didn't just confuse me. It infuriated me. Did she honestly think this made everything okay? I wanted to challenge her, to tell her how ridiculous it sounded, but I couldn't get the words out. Every time she spoke, it felt like she was rewriting the narrative, trying to make me the unreasonable one. Was this manipulation? Or did she genuinely believe her own reasoning? The worst part was the way she said it, like she was daring me to argue. It made me question everything all over again. If this was how she truly felt, then what did that say about us? And if I couldn't agree with her now, how could we possibly move forward? Her betrayal wasn't just an emotional blow. It felt like a violation of something deeper, something almost sacred. Trust, after all, isn't just about feelings. It's about safety. She didn't just break my heart. She exposed me to risks I never agreed to. And the worst part? She never even thought to tell me. I couldn't shake the thought. How long had this been going on? Did I deserve to know before it came crashing down on me like this? Ignorance might be bliss for some, but in this case, it felt more like a loaded gun pointed straight at me. Trust isn't just emotional, it's physical too. And now, I was left to wonder if I'd been lied to on more levels than I could comprehend. The betrayal lingered like an open wound, festering with questions I didn't want to ask, but couldn't avoid. Did he mean more to her? Was I just a placeholder while she figured things out? It's exhausting, the way your mind fills in the blanks with the worst possible scenarios. And the weight of that uncertainty was almost unbearable. Still, part of me wanted to confront her again, to demand answers. But what good would that do? Could anything she said actually make this better? Or would it just deepen the hurt? As much as I hated feeling like this, I wasn't sure I wanted to hear the truth. The silence was unbearable, but then the messages started rolling in. Friends, strangers, even people I hadn't spoken to in years. They all had something to say. "You deserve better," one said. "Leave her," wrote another, blunt and to the point. Their words hit me in waves, sometimes comforting, sometimes overwhelming. It was strange having people dissect my pain like that. On one hand, I felt seen, validated in a way I hadn't expected. They understood what I was going through, or at least they tried. On the other hand, their advice felt easier said than done. Walk away? Sure, it sounded simple, but love complicates everything. Still, their encouragement started to sink in. They reminded me of things I'd forgotten. My worth, my strength, the fact that I wasn't tied to this pain forever. It was like they saw a version of me I couldn't see yet, someone who could rise above all this, even if I didn't believe it myself. But for every voice urging me to move on, there was another whispering doubt. What if I was giving up too soon? What if I never felt this way about anyone again? Their support helped, but it didn't erase the ache. And somewhere deep down, I knew the choice was still mine to make. As I sit here now, replaying it all in my mind, I can't help but think about everything we shared. 2 years of memories, laughter, and dreams. I poured so much of myself into this relationship. My time, my energy, my heart. Letting go feels like admitting that all of it meant nothing. But deep down, I know that's not true. It meant something to me at least. Maybe it's that meaning that makes this so hard. If I could just stop caring, walk away without looking back, this would all be easier. But love doesn't work like that, does it? It clings to you, even when it hurts. I keep asking myself the same question. How do you move on from someone who is your everything? How do you let go of the person who made you feel alive, even if they're the same one who broke you? It's a cruel irony, really, wanting to stay, knowing you can't. And yet, despite the pain, there's a small part of me that feels a spark of something else. Hope, maybe? Not for us, but for me. For a future where I can feel whole again. I don't know when I'll get there, but I know I will. Someday.
Keep watching our stories by clicking on one of the videos that appear on the screen, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to be alerted about new videos. See you next time.